the desire to have it between us. Like, I feel like that desire and crave between you and I is like the missing piece.
For you.
Because everything else is aligned.
For me, that's not true for me.
At this rate, they might as well end the season because everybody keeps breaking up, everybody keeps fighting. Chelsea and Jimmy, it's a daily thing, but I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken that Kenneth and Britney didn't make it. But hopefully, I don't know, maybe after some time apart, they will think and they will come back together. I don't know. I can't wait for the reunion. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button. Turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos. And definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love is Blind, Season 6, Episode 8. Oh my God, here we go. We start with home visits. It reminds me of Married at First Sight when they visited Jeffrey's room. That's the thing that always comes to my mind whenever I see a home visit. So first off is Chelsea. She lives with a housemate. That looked cute. Jimmy looked surprised when he walked into the house. He kept looking like he was looking for stuff. And it's like, what is he looking for? Is this his place? Why is he discovering the home the same time Chelsea's discovering the home? And then with Clay, I was actually pleasantly surprised. He owns his own home. It seems very well taken care of. It looked amazing. I was really shocked, so that was cute to see. He's responsible in that sense. Yes, in his love life, he's a mess, but it seems, when it comes to his finances and the sort of living environment, he seems very organized, which I really liked. So you have Kenneth and Britney visit his house. And so it was interesting that his fridge was almost empty. Am I surprised? No. I'm not one of those people who believes in stacking their fridge to the top. And he only had 2 spices and a couple of red cups. And it's like, yeah, it's keeping with the Bachelor theme. It's totally different from when you look at Jeremy's house. Oh my God, that was clean. That was spotless. It had everything. And it had the robot vacuum going all the time. So that was cute. Brittany and Kenneth had a conversation about the fact that, he's distracted since he came back, and it seems he's not as carefree or as bubbly as he was. And it's like, well, he's got a very demanding job, so he's got a lot of things he has to catch up with on his return. It's not like he can switch off at 5 o'clock and say that's the end of the day. And she was talking about, oh, you woke up, I was very bubbly and you were not. And it's like, I'm not a morning person. I can't do people that are hyper first thing in the morning. It's like a bit too much for me. I need to snooze my alarm a couple of times before I am actually fully awake. And so I think I would struggle if I had to share space with someone who was that hyper. So I get where he's coming from when he's saying to her, you are not always going to be hyper. You're going to have days when you're not, in the mood for conversations or whatever. Are you going to expect me to give you grace? If you're expecting me to give you grace, then you have to give me grace to say that every single day I'm not going to be my bubbly self. And it does make sense because everybody's life is complicated. We have our personal life, we have, our family life, we have our work life, we have our social life. So it depends. If one of those things is not going great, then you're not going to be in the best of moods. So I think it's about sort of affording each other grace and sort of understanding that, it's nothing personal. There is something going on. And so once that person sort of gets over that hump, they'll be fine. Unless this is a common theme, then it is concerning. Chelsea has her friends come to visit her. And it's like, this is a bit too much. Couldn't she just have sat with her housemate? She already had a housemate there. Why does she need to bring all her other friends? And then she's talking. I said this and I felt guilty. Well, now the truth has come out. Apparently, Jimmy was one of the popular guys in the pods. And I think Chelsea, this is why she went for Jimmy, because Trevor closed off everybody else and prioritized her. And she didn't like that. She wanted to be in competition. She wanted to win over the most stunning girls. And this is what she got. Anyway, they start talking about sex, and it's like, why do people have to ask about packages on TV? Why do you need to know what a guy's package looks like? Seriously, are you going to need it for anything? Why would you feel the need to say that? And then, oh, at least his shoes are big, so, and it's like, that's not appropriate. That is not appropriate. Apparently, Jimmy was working, so once he finished working, he came down to have a conversation with the girls. It's interesting that when Jimmy's asked, what he likes about Chelsea, he starts talking about Jessica, and it's like, okay, so Jessica was his number one because he let it slip that he was really considering Jessica, but it ended well because they had a fallout. And it's like, oh, okay, so Chelsea was a backup then. She wasn't your number one. It's only because she was able to be flexible and sort of accommodating in what you needed. This is why you ended up with her, not because you really liked her. I didn't hear him say anything that stood out for me. I really didn't hear him say anything, so I'm a bit surprised that he would go into a monologue about Jessica when he's being asked about what stood out about Chelsea. But hey, I think he just chose Chelsea because he wanted to be on the show. I think Chelsea was, yes, in his top 2 or top 3, but I think he chose her because she was more flexible than the other girls one. I think he chose her because she said she looks like Megan Fox. So she asks her friends to sort of say, can you tell him who I'm always confused for? And then they said Carrie Underwood, and then they then said Megan Fox. And you could tell he wanted to tell them, you girls are lying. You girls are lying. She doesn't look anything like Megan Fox. Which part of her is Megan Fox? But I think he decided to be polite and just smile and just bear it. But you can see he wasn't with it. And they spoke about children, and they're saying he wants 3 children. And it's like, that's a lot. They were right to say your wife, your fiance is 30 years old. How many children do you think she'll be able to give you at this age? So, I don't know. It's interesting. Love is on a health promotion tour, aren't they? We had Jeremy with his CPAP. That was nice to see that. Yeah, it is a bit surprising that someone fit as he is still using a CPAP. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know his medical history, so I don't know why. I would assume it's for sleep apnea, but normally it's associated with people who have sort of overweight or people of an older generation. So for someone his age, it's a bit surprising. And then you now have, Johnny and Amy talking about, birth control. And it's like, oh my God. They go to see Amy's place. It looks very cute. She's got crystals, so she's one of those holistic people. But then comes the conversation about contraception. Johnny doesn't want to have a child any day soon. He wants to plan when he has his children. And Amy, sadly, is not on contraception. She's not taking the pill. She says she's anemic. Her doctors advised her that she might need to take the pill to sort of help with that. Obviously, it sounds like she's having heavy bleeding. And so for her, she told him, you could always have a vasectomy and you could always have it reversed when you're ready to have children. And so it's like, why is he reluctant to use things like condoms? Why won't he consider that? I know there is a risk that they could break, but still, at least that's something. I don't get it. Yes, they're not physically intimate, which I recommend because they still need to know the person that they're in a couple with. But I don't know why they're making such a big deal. I guess on the bright side, it creates awareness for people that are not aware of the various forms of contraception that can be used. Guys that might be in Johnny's situation, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. It's really sad to see the end of Kenneth and Britney, but I give them credit in how they dealt with it because they started talking about the fact that, this is something they agreed upon, that they would always be open and transparent with one another. And it seems Kenneth came home around 1:30 and Britney was asleep and he wanted to be, lovey-dovey on her, and she had to wake up in 4 hours to go to work, so she wasn't really in the mood for that. And so for her, she sort of brought up that she's struggling to get a yearning for him like she did in the pods or on their honeymoon. So this is something that she's fighting with. And so Kenneth then took it and said, oh, okay, if that's how you feel, then that's fine. I don't want to force myself on you. And so for me, I'm struggling to understand whether this is the main reason why they've broken up. And because with these reality TV shows, they edit out to fit a narrative that the producers are aiming for. So we don't have the full context of what's brought them to this. We don't have any idea of what else was going on. It seems like all we're being told is Kenneth kept being on his phone and he was very distant once he came back from the honeymoon, and this is why they broke up. I don't think that's it. Britney said she will discuss it at length, and I can't wait to see what she says about this because it's really sad to see them break up. I give them credit for not forcing something just to be on TV and looking out for themselves. But it's also sad that, it had to come to this. I think it was just, as much as they spoke, I don't think they actually heard what the other person was saying. And because of that, and I think the issue with the conversation, I don't want to blame AD, but I think that sort of conversation about black children and the fact that he's a principal at a mainly black school, he must have experienced a lot, he must have seen a lot, he must have heard a lot. And so I think that kept playing in his mind, because every time he was around AD and Clay, you'd see him just staring at them. And it's like, who you love shouldn't be defined by the color of their skin. It should be someone that you have an emotional, spiritual, psychological connection. And it seemed he had that with Britney up until they got to the point where he was asked the question, and then from there things just started going downhill according to the edits, and this is where they are. And I really feel sorry for the two of them. I hope they're able to find peace, and I hope they're able to address this at the reunion. That way we get a full picture of what exactly happened. Every season, Love is Blind has to have that toxic couple. And that toxic couple this season is Jimmy and Chelsea. Because I didn't get the purpose of the argument. Yes, when her friends were there, she complained bitterly that, he hadn't kissed her, and it's like, oh my God, how many times does she want him to kiss her? How many times? And so for her to then bring it up to him and moan that you haven't kissed me, I want to feel it, that you mean it when you say you love me. And it's like, oh my God, you have issues. You have issues. There are bigger problems than you sort of pestering someone to kiss you and make it known emotionally that he's in love with you. I said it before and I'll say it again. They're using love as sort of, not even as a reward, as something to sort of torment each other with. That you do something bad and then you come back and you say, I love you. And so for her to bring up, I stayed up, I watched your boring show, and then from there and I went and I had sex with you. And he's like, but you wanted to have sex. I didn't want to have sex. And then she threatened to say, I'm going to go and stay at my place. And he just went and packed his stuff and said, I'm going to my apartment. I think she expected him to sort of go outside and follow her and sort of comfort her. But he's had enough. And for her to bring Jessica's name in it, what has Jessica done? I said this and I'll say this again. She thought she had won by getting this guy from Jessica because Jessica really liked this guy and Jessica is everything that she's not. And so for her to win the guy and then realize that actually the guy might still be in love with Jessica and might not be feeling her the same way she's feeling him, I think that's why she's upset. This is why she's upset. And this is why she's feeling some type of way. This is why she had to bring up, you saw Jessica's picture and since then you've been behaving differently. And it's like, oh my God, leave the poor woman alone. Unless she comes and she has a conversation with you, leave her alone. She has nothing to do with whatever's going on between the two of you. Karma is catching up with you. You lied to this man to win him. And here we are. So you have Jessica meet up with Laura, and it's a bit tricky for me because Laura is complaining about the fact that, Jeremy was communicating, or Sarah Ann sent Jeremy a message and Jeremy liked it. So she's unhappy about that, but she's okay to discuss Jimmy and Jessica. It doesn't make sense. If you don't want your man, talking to his ex, then why are you having conversations about somebody and their ex? That doesn't make sense, because how do you think Chelsea will feel when she hears this? I'm not a Chelsea champion, don't get me wrong. I know Chelsea does a lot of things that are annoying, but at the same time, I don't think it's a good look for Laura to be entertaining these conversations. Yes, they discuss Jessica's daughter and how she felt after she found out that, Jessica wasn't getting married, and the fact that Jessica was dumped by someone. And then they come to speak about Jimmy. Do you want to meet Jimmy? And it's like, this is toxicity at its finest. This is not necessary. This is Shane and what's her name? Oh my God, I've forgotten her name. I'm so terrible with names in season 2 when they sat down and had this conversation. And so I don't know. It's going to be messy because I know they will have a get together for the pod squad. at some point during filming, and I can see the drama happening. And for Jessica to say that she looks mostly like Jimmy's exes is going to make Chelsea feel some type of way. Maybe that's why she's feeling insecure. Maybe she's looked him up and she's realized that, his exes look more like Jessica than they do her. And so she feels some type of way and doesn't know how to sort of navigate this. So I can't wait. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 8. Bye guys.